Hello, my name's Vivian Evans and I'll welcome you to Live at Lunch, a regular free program that's offered on a Thursday at 12 o'clock lunchtime. Today's session is about webinar programs and which ones to choose. So what is a webinar? The word webinar comes from a combination of two things, web being the internet and seminar, which is usually, like a presentation of sorts. And so there can be lots of other names, a virtual meeting room, a live online event, the names of the tools itself, but it's actually about connecting people where they can see presentations or see people, connect, talk, hear, and chat. It's probably, sort of the main aspects of a webinar, and there are lots of different tools that you can use for such a vehicle or an event. So here's a list of just some of them. There are lots of tools out there and they're being invented and created every day by clever people. So what we have are things, we're actually today in GoToMeeting, and I often use Zoom, which is another program for my live events. But there's a host of others which I've used the majority that are on this list at some stage. The trouble is, with so many, we can feel like this, particularly if we're wanting to host a webinar and not sure where or how, which one to use. There are so many choices. And you can come to this situation like with the multiple doors, which one to choose. They all look similar. What's behind them? What can they offer? And often when we have too many choices, it actually makes us hard to make that decision. And a fantastic episode I saw once was Catalyst on the ABC, and it was a science program, and they actually did an experiment, and which really stuck in my mind. They had a jam factory, and they had a bus load of people turn up to purchase jam and to look at the factory and what they do. They gave out for the first bus 7 options for jars of jam, and there were quite a number of pretty good sales. Then the next bus, they actually changed it and offered their complete range of jams. Now, this company had over 50 jars of jam, and guess what? That bus went away with hardly any sales compared to the other, and that's because the people were overwhelmed by the choice and having to eliminate so many options. So this is the trouble that we have with online webinars, is even knowing enough about it. And so here are some questions. This presentation is a bit about where to begin to help you with making that decision. So although we do have a big range of options out there, here are some questions that might help you with fine-tuning down those options. So thinking about, what do you want to use it for? How many do you want to connect at any one time? Who do you want to connect with, and what is their internet like? Now, we're living, and I live in rural, regional Australia, and internet can be a big problem, and actually quite a number of webinar rooms don't work effectively because of the internet bandwidth. So whilst you might have an internet webinar program that offers lots of bells and whistles, if your participants can't engage and even get online, or in fact, may miss the end of a presentation, which is what I've done with one program. I finished the presentation, the recording was fantastic, but some participants, they missed the last 3 slides. There's no way I want to host a webinar that is like that for some of my participants. I really want to engage with rural regional Australia, because let's face it, they're probably the most important people to engage in this and for getting into connecting with online learning, because distance is the issue for them, travel-wise. So important to have the internet and webinars for them. So the other question to ask is, how big is your budget? How much time do you have to do? Like, do you want to present for a long time? How much time do you have to prepare? Some webinars take a lot of time to set up, and one of those is Webinar Jam. It has some lovely features, but a real challenge for setting up. Then how sophisticated do you want it to be? Do you want it with lots of bells and whistles? Do you want interactive whiteboards? Yes, just what is there? Is there fancy ways of presenting? There's quite a bit out there, and so that's part of your decision. How much do you want to engage with your participants, with you, and how much your participants engage with each other? So, for example, in some webinar rooms, such as GoToWebinar, participants can't see or chat with each other. Here in GoToMeeting they can, but not in GoToWebinar. It has lots of other powerful aspects, but it doesn't let the participants engage with each other. Myself, from an strong educational background, I feel you learn so much from your other students. You know, your teacher's not always the absolute font of knowledge, and even the questions that someone else asks might help you in your confidence or thinking about other ways of, you know, the learning and interpreting the information that you're given. So for me, it's a no-brainer. If you can't have participants chatting with each other and seeing and engaging in chat all together as a group, I don't want that room. You may not want to have that. You may not want to have the people chatting on the side. You may find that a distraction. You might want to just give your stuff, your information. So, you know, you might want to go that way. Do you want to record and what? So some actually record sound files, some record video, some record the presentation. So some will do the whole chat, the kit and caboodle, but others won't. They'll only do the presentation. So here in GoToMeeting, it's just the presentation shared screen that's recorded. So how do we work all this out? So what if I don't know what I want? Just put your head down on the pillow and go, it's all too hard. Okay. So let's think purposes for webinars. There's a variety of ways that you can choose and engage with webinars. So let's do a bit of a brainstorm. So it's all sorts of things that you can think of. You might, while you're watching the recording, consider what it is that you potentially could use webinars for. So it could be things like marketing, meetings, training, connecting with people, getting information out. So let's have a look. I've whipped up something beforehand. So we have those ones I mentioned, connecting teams. You might want to record something. It could be for training, saving dollars for travel and time. Massive amount you can save for using webinars. If you're working with a team, whether you be a not-for-profit or, you know, a business, there's a massive way of connecting with your clients, connecting with your team, and saving dollars. Saves on renting real space. It's convenient. And yes, you may have even more. So fantastic. There is, and always has been for me, for the many years that I've worked and engaged in virtual webinars and online classrooms, is a holy grail of getting the right tools and the combination. Not every webinar platform, if I can put it that way, offers everything. And so there's a mixture of tools that you can use, and some are better with things. So for me, it's been like searching for the holy grail of getting the right content, the right resources at the right price. I must admit I still don't feel like I've got the very best of the best as yet, but certainly there's some that are really good. So what are some of the things that you can be looking for in some of the programs? So recording, do they do video files, sound files, so you could use them as a podcast afterwards? Do they allow for text chat? Do they allow for voice? How do they allow for video? Can you play a video whilst you're live online, or do you need to adapt to actually share a link instead and watch that and come back? Do they help you promote and market the event? Some do. Webinar Jam's highly efficient at that, but it has other disadvantages, so it's weighing those up. They can help you register and email participants. Some set it up all automated. You put in your times, your name of your event, and then it presents you with something you can copy and paste and put into emails or in campaigns. Lots of really useful things. Desktop share. So at the moment, I'm sharing my desktop so you can see what I'm seeing on my computer, and that's really helpful. So some do that better than others. Some do it layering. So Blackboard Collaborate is a bit not so flash with the desktop sharing. It does do it, but it comes down in layers, and so it's not always so clear, particularly if you're on a low bandwidth. It's a bit frustrating. So you can vote in polls. Some allow, so Blackboard Collaborate does some fantastic polling and quick results and sharing those on the screen. And it also has a brilliant collaborative whiteboard. I've never seen one as good as what's in Blackboard Collaborate. They have a way of, you having a whole screen and you can share and put things on and write collaboratively, but you can also have individual ones. So, there's a mix of things. So here's just an example that I can do for for doing a whiteboard. So that is that possibility here on GoToMeeting, which is what we're using. Now, you can promote people to different roles, and there's different capacities for that. So in some rooms, you can allow people to, whilst I'm sharing my desktop, I can allow someone else to give their keyboard and mouse over. I can let them manipulate my screen. So that's a possibility. You can change presenters. So there's a mix of those. Emoticons are another nice handy thing to engage with. Not on every tool. But some people really like to have that little bit of quick communication showing their emotions. It's quite handy, but not all do that. Chatting amongst participants, whether it be private or public or at all. So there are ways that you can do private text messaging. So there's a mix. Right. Okay, let's see if I can move down. I've got my So, what are some strategies to help you make that choice? After all, that's what you're here for. What can I share? So, participate. I would recommend that you participate in live events as much as possible. Note to yourself what's good and what's not. What do you really like about the particular presentations? Of course, it can be the style, but if you can see resources, or maybe not everyone knows how to engage with all the tools or what all the tools are there. So it's a bit of a mix to try that out, but certainly get involved. I have set up a comparison tool, a resource. So let's have a quick look at that. Now, it is a work in progress. I have set up for the tools to be in alphabetical order, so I'm not putting any priority on any one. I've got here the ones that I like. So in this first column, we're going to be looking at what is my personal opinion. Of course, depending on the date of when I've seen these, will make a difference. I will be building up, and as I said, it's a work in progress, web addresses, the images for each one, a bit of, just a single image so you can get to see what it looks like. If there's a free version, what the cost per year is, what the cost per month. Can you actually rent it on a monthly basis? That can be really handy for setting up and starting off on your webinar tools and what you're choosing, because you might find down the track, no, that's not working for me, but you've been renting on a monthly basis, so that allows you to use it and engage with your audience, and then or with a partner in crime and try it out. How many participants will be another one? Can you have 5? I mean, some have up to 5,000, massive audiences. Okay, you'd never keep up the text chat on that. if you allowed it. So this is where go to webinar can allow you to have 5,000 people. So you wouldn't even bother having the chat there. Can participants connect with each other? That's a question that I really value. Good or bad for low bandwidth? So sometimes the sites with the bells and whistles aren't that flash. So I'll be sharing that, and I'll be really keen for comments from people. Does it record? How does it record? Is it easy to do? Is there a whiteboard? Yes or no? How good is it? Because some work better than others. Some of these, because there's so many rooms and I won't always get a chance to compare and work with other people to try it out, there won't be. Yeah, there's lots more features that we'll have and some that I've never even heard of as new ones develop. So what are their marketing features? So if you want your business that's wanting to connect online and share, then there's those. Desktop sharing, great feature. It's a great way to explain and show things and demonstrate. Or even having someone else who's having trouble, you could go on their desktop, get them to share, and you can talk them through it. It's amazing how different our computer screens can look. And whether they have a webcam. So that's just some. So this is a growing thing. The comparisons, the tools, and and the content will grow. Okay. So let me head back to where I was. Oops, we've got that. Okay, so what's coming up? We have a short course that I'm offering. So it can expand and extend on webinars and facilitation. So certainly a chance to dabble in and try and engage with more of those features and how you can use them well and effectively. So really encourage you to engage in that. So that's a 4 by 1 hour live online webinars, access to recordings, engagement in discussion with other people, and handouts and bonuses. So that's over September in the evenings, and lots of connection from me. You can join our forum and ask questions on vivianevans.com.au. And you can also, coming up is a short course, Effective Online Meetings. So that's another 4-week course we've got happening in September during the daytime and in the evenings in October. So getting meetings online and connecting with people from a distance. So I really encourage you to register for that. So that's, again, vivianevans.com.au. Drop down from the live events and you'll see the courses that are available. So fantastic. So pleased you engage with me today or watching the recording from our Live at Lunch. Our next session is about executive functioning with our guest Diane Heinlein. And we have Big Sky ideas coming up with Hayley Perbrick. So terrific stuff coming up, always exciting. Bring your lunch along, sit back, relax, and enjoy Live at Lunch with me, Vivian Evans, at vivianevans.com.au. Thanks for engaging with me today.